Speak 5 words.
I'm awful thankful to be here tonight. And I look forward to being able to come back out with everybody in the morning. Had a lot of things on my mind here lately, and a lot of people in this world that don't believe, and sometimes there's good reason for that. If you look at the way that things have changed and the way that people take the scripture and the way they twist and add to everything, I can kind of understand it. I mean, I remember a time when I was growing up and I had a little girlfriend, and we went out to a church with her, and it was a youth group meeting there, and they had a youth pastor there, is what they called it, and we were down in the basement eating. We were getting ready to go upstairs, and as we were getting ready to go back outside and play basketball or whatever we were doing, he said, "Shad, come on over here."
Yeah, tell him.
And I said, "Okay." I went over there with him, and he said, "I'm going to kneel down here and I'm going to pray." He said, "If you've been saved," I'm a 16, 17-year-old boy.
Wild boy.
Very wild boy, very hateful, very mean. I just looked at him and said, "No, I don't think I have." And he goes, "Well, just come on down here." And he started. So I was nice enough to just stand there with him, and he got down there, and I can't even tell you what he said because I didn't care. Yeah. And he prayed, and then he got up, and he looked at me, and he said, "Well, congratulations, you've been saved." And I just looked at him, and I said, "Well, is that all it takes?"
Yeah.
It's easy for this world to think that
I could give it away.
There's nothing true about this.
That's
when
right.
things like that happen, and I can remember.
It's not like joining
I
the club.
can remember my grandfather came to pick me up, and I got in the truck with him there, and he's an old regular Baptist preacher. He definitely doesn't believe in things like that. And I was just sitting there, and I was being quiet, and he said, "Son, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, I think I just got saved." And I'm telling you, the truck hadn't stopped so quick. He said, "Who told you that?" And I said, "It was this man over here. He got down and he said a prayer, and then he told me I was saved." And he said, "Well, I'll be right back." And we won't go no further than that. He had a little talk with him. And he got back in the truck with me, and he had mentioned something that I didn't understand for a few years later. He had said, "It don't work that way. There's nobody that can save you. It's between you and God."
That's right.
Yeah. He said, "You have to be born again."
Preach that. That is good doctrine.
And when he said I had to be born again, I had no idea what that meant. No. How can I be born again? I'm already born.
That's right.
I'm 16, 17 years old. How can I be born again? Yep. And I'm thinking about here recently, and we just had a baby. When the baby came out, you can just as well say that he's brand new. Standing there holding him, he's brand new. That's what I thought it was. Right. But see, when I say that, he's brand new. That's what it is when you come to the Lord. When that Spirit comes inside of you and dwells inside of you, you become new.
You pray for forgiveness.
Listen, I was sitting there and I was thinking about that little story, and I don't know why it's on my heart so much. But then let me tell you how my Lord works. He looks out for old Shad sometimes, even though he doesn't deserve it.
That's right.
When Brother Chris stood up here and said, "Shad, we'll come have you speak a few words." I started digging through my Bible. I didn't expect to have to stand up.
It's the new
And
season
I opened up the Bible, and the first thing that I came to, I opened it up to Corinthians here. And I like to underline a lot of things in the Bible here that I think are important. And in Corinthians here, you see, I don't really underline a lot of things because just about every bit of Corinthians is important. There's a lot of good things in this here that can tell you about how to live your life. There's a lot of good things. You see, I have one thing here, and I didn't even underline this here. This was my grandmother's Bible one. But But you see, I open it up here, and the first thing I come to, it says, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are past, away. Behold, all things are become new. You see, that's what it is this morning, or this evening here. When you become a child of God, you become brand new. It's not about everybody bow your heads, we're going to do an altar call, and you come on up here and I'll save you. That's not the way it works. And you see, I wish that I had that power, but that power is not inside of me. I can't save a single person in this building. Brother Chris, he can't save a single person in this building. Neither can Brother Brandon over here. But listen, we serve a high and mighty Father that can do that very thing. You see, when you're coming to the Lord, it's between you and Him. It has nothing to do with you and a preacher. It has nothing to do with you walking down this aisleway here and standing here and saying, I want to join a church. That's not what it's about.
That's after.
And you see, let me tell you, that's exactly right. It's after. You see, I can remember when I came to the Lord, I would go to church and I would sit and I would cry because I was condemned and I was heartbroken. I couldn't take it anymore. And you know, I would start to pray. I would ask people, what do you do? How do you become a child of God? And I would listen to the preaching and I would wonder, what have I got to do? And I always heard pray. And you know, I started trying to pray. I remember sitting up many nights saying, Lord, if you're listening to me, I need something. I need help because I'm brokenhearted and don't know where to go. But you see, I don't know if I ever sincerely prayed to Him at that time. That's just the instruction.
It takes unconditional.
Heard. But you see, my life, I didn't understand it at all. My life was going pretty good. Everything was going good for me and Rachel at the time. And you know, the only burden I felt like I had in my life was that my wife was making me get up early on Sunday mornings. But you know, let me tell you, when I found my Lord, you see, I wasn't even standing on this ground here. You see, when I was a coal miner up in East Kentucky, I used to work 7 miles underground. When they used to say a mile away from hell. Every time that I went in there, after I started going to church and I started feeling a little bit condemned, I felt like I was a mile away from hell. Even when I got outside of that mines there, I still felt like I was a mile from hell. I couldn't sleep at night. But I can remember sitting in that mines there, and you know, we had a rail system that went all the way through there and there, just a little ways up above me. They had an inspector in there, and it seemed like on the phone, I was listening through the phones, a rocket came out of the ceiling and cut the back of his neck and cut him real bad. And they said, we don't know if we're going to be able to get him out because he's bleeding out pretty bad. And when I heard that there, I noticed above my head, there was 1,000,000 ton of rock. I could have fell at the moment. That's the first time that I was ever scared to be inside that hole in the ground. And you know, I believe with everything in me that's the first time that I ever went to my knees without thinking. That was just an instinct.
That's right.
I can't
fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
When I heard that this man may not make it, I instantly, it's like my legs were taken out from under me. And I didn't just go down on my knees. I can't really remember it all too well, but I can tell you that I think I was flat on my face because I was crying, laying in that dirt there, praying to a God that I didn't know, begging for a little something. But you know, it says here that all things are become new when I came up off my face there. And let me tell you, this is the way it is for me. I don't know how it is for everyone else, but when I came up off my face there, that's when things have become brand new. You see, it felt like almost that there was a heart of stone inside of here. And maybe when I got off of my knees there, that a little fleshly heart was a beating, and it wasn't beaten with the hatred and the things that I had before, that there was a love inside of me. You see, and the first thing I wanted to do was get out of that mines and go tell everybody. I wanted to tell everybody that the Lord has made me brand new, and I can finally understand what it's all about. You see,
That's good.
you got people in this world that if you were to ask them, and I've got a little brother, and I don't really want to talk about it because I worry about my little brother and my family.
Absolutely.
I've got a cousin who's an atheist that doesn't believe in anything. I got a little brother that is so confused and I've been told so many lies that he don't understand it. But he told me one time, he said, well, you know, all you got to be is a good person to go to heaven. I said, well, that's a good start, but that's not true.
That's right.
Jesus Christ is the only way.
That's
and I said, well, let me ask you, have you been saved by God? And he said, well, yeah, probably. If your answer to that question is probably, or maybe, then you've got problems here this evening.
You have to give your heart to the
you
Lord.
are not saved
That's
by my God. If your answer is maybe, when you become that brand new creature, you will know, and you're not going to question it. You will know, sure, the devil's going to play his games on you, and you're going to have doubts here and there, and there's going to be things come up, but when it all comes down to it, or when you are sincere, down on your knees, or sincere right here, my Lord's going to show you what it is to be brand new.
That's right.
And you see, you never know what kind of influence you're going to be to someone else. You know, we were there today looking at that house, and the lady that was talking to us about it, she started to talk about her mother. Her mother had, I believe it was sepsis that set up in her blood, an infection in her blood, and then she had, I believe she said there were some clots that had went to her brain and caused her to have a stroke. And talking about how she lived, and you know, she didn't give thanks to no doctor. She said this repeatedly 3 times. She said, by the grace of God, by the grace of God, by the grace of God is how she lived. How many people are you going to meet nowadays that are going to give the praise to God like that? You're not going to meet many. And it's not that people just don't believe. It's the fact that people have caused them not to believe because they're taken away from the simplicity of it all. You see, we make things complicated. God gave us a plan. You see, we got a New Year's coming up, and you're going to hear people talking about, well, next year I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to quit doing this. If you're not a child of God tonight, let me tell you what your New Year's resolution better be. Let me tell you what your tomorrow morning's resolution better be. Your next minute better be, because you don't have a guarantee that you're going to leave here tonight. You don't have a guarantee that you're going to make it home. You don't have a guarantee that when you lay your head down tonight that you're not going to open them up in the devil's hell if you're not a child of God. And I don't mean to scare anybody, but that's the way it is. There is a God, and there was a man named Jesus Christ that was His only begotten Son that was sent here to die for us. And there is a heaven, and there is a hell, and we're going to one place or the other. You see, a lot of people think they've got a choice. I can go here in the morning, I can go there in the morning, but when this life is over, you don't have a choice. You're going one place or the other, and the only choice you have in the matter is if Jesus Christ is on your bond and has made you that new creature. I'll tell this and then I'll let Brandy come. You know, I said you don't know what kind of influence you can have on somebody.
That's right.
And I remember when I started praying, when I first started coming to God and started thinking about these things. I'd heard in the Bible there are stories of people asking God for a witness. So I figured I would be smart, you know. Well, if this is true, if the Bible's true,
Yeah.
and this is just me being wicked in my own heart, I thought I was going to test the Lord and show Him here. I was like, well, I'm going to pray for a little bit of a sign. And then when it doesn't happen, I'm going to know this is all not true.
Yeah.
So I asked the Lord in prayer. And they say that the Lord doesn't hear a sinner's prayer.
That sinner said that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Jesus
who
never said
came
that.
up with that one.
It was a sinner
But
said
if
that.
that was the case, we would all be hellbound tonight. But I asked the Lord for a little bit of a sign. And I was going out to Pilgrim's Prayer Church. They already had the new church built. This wasn't in the old building. And I would sit up front, stone face, stone heart, just listening. But my heart wasn't as stony as I thought it was, because every time that, and shame on me for everything that maybe this isn't real. Because at first, let me tell you, I didn't think nothing of it, but as the preaching went on and stuff like that, every time they would mention Jesus Christ, my heart would burn. My heart and soul would yearn for that name, and I couldn't explain it. But I was sitting up there, and a man who came from Lexington, I believe it was, Lexington, Kentucky there, his name was Barry Tiller, and he would come up, and I liked listening to the man. I thought he was a good man, and he had called Chris after a service one morning or sometime, and he had asked Chris who was that boy that was sitting up front. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you this evening that I would sit there, and I'm telling you right now, I didn't make a face. I didn't show anybody that I was hurting. I didn't tell a single soul how I was feeling. Not a tear would fall from my face. But he asked Chris who I was, and he told him that. He said, well, that's my son-in-law, Shad. And he told him there, he said, well, what's he waiting on? And when Chris told me that, I thought to myself, how in the world can this man come from Lexington and never see me before and come see me standing or sitting up there in the church and know that the Lord is beating me up and He's beating me up hard. You see, that man, he may not have been anybody come and join the church from that moment on when he was up preaching or that he had ever touched. But let me tell you, he touched this one right here. And he lost his life in a car accident. And when I heard that news, I couldn't barely stand it, because if it wasn't for him, let me tell you, I think that was my witness there. That little mysterious witness of mine. But he used to tell this story all the time. And we've got problems in this world. But let me tell you, my Lord, He's a comforter. He's the great comforter tonight. But he used to tell this story about his little girl. She would come up and she would sit in his lap and say, Daddy, the world's been mean to me again. I didn't have that at the time when I needed it the most. When my heart was broken and I didn't know where to go. I was a fatherless boy. I was the great recipe for somebody who could have grew up and not believed in a single thing like this. But you know what's so good? Let me tell you, Brother Barry, he had his trials and his problems in this world. But now he don't have to listen. He don't have to go to the Lord and say, Lord, this world's being mean to me again, because let me tell you, brother, He's sitting up there on the right hand of God, no doubt in my mind. Listen, and that's the way I want to leave this world. If anybody would ever talk about me, I want them to say, I don't want them to talk about how strong I was or how good I was at this or that. If they can sit and say he was a child of God, that I believe he was a child of God, then I think I would have left a good enough legacy for me.
That's right.
Because what it all boils down to, this man you see right here, I'm nothing without Jesus Christ. People tell me all the time, you don't look like a preacher. You're not old. Why are you working here if you're a preacher? I don't need the money. I don't need none of that. All I need is Jesus Christ.
That's right. That's right.
Brother Brandon, you come on before I take up all your time.
Well done. Done good.